been at the garbage dump and you just stumbled across, you know, thousands, if not tens, maybe even hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of collectible product, like magic cards, trading cards, that sort of thing? No, me neither. But this Reddit user did. And most excitingly, does this mean that Wizards are throwing away collectible product, including Magic 30. That's right, there's one image on the, I'll go into it all in this video, but maybe they're binning the $1,000 booster packs too. This video is brought to you by CoolStuffInc.com, so if you're not looking to dig through the trash to find magic cards, use the link in the description below to get 5% off your order and help support the show. And if you want to help support the show as well, I've got a Whatnot AMA live stream up and support the show. Over the weekend, my wife gave birth to a child, and that means that my content will be a bit more sporadic over the coming weeks. But there's some things that I have to talk about, and I will be making content because basically it keeps the lights on, it pays my bills. This is about the landfill filled with Magic the Gathering garbage. I put a lot of images on screen as well alongside B-roll. If it's B-roll, to help not be confusing, I'll put the word B-roll down the bottom right hand corner so you know I'm not showing something and you're trying to look for magic cards in that shot. These boxes right here on the Imgur dump, the first one of the two, are boxes of sealed Modern Horizons 2. That's right, the set that brought us Ragavan, who's currently a $70 staple in Modern, banned from Legacy though. A $70 staple in Modern in this set. These are 3 booster draft packs in boxes. I'm not 100% sure on exactly how many 3 booster draft packs, you know, the shelf cardboard, these ones here, that come in those boxes. Someone in the comment section can say or tell me, and I'll pin it. The original poster opened one up in their car as well to show us that there were cards inside these things. However, the update was much more exciting as we saw more and more shots of the landfill after Reddit got excited. It is primarily filled with destroyed and mashed up copies of cards from Unfinity. There is a lot of Unfinity here. That seems to be the primary thing. Boxes, crates of Modern Horizons, individual cards scattered to the wind from Unfinity, and a few other oddities too. That's right, that is a secret lair in the hands of our hero, the person who went in and documented all of this stuff. That is a secret lair with the old style planeswalkers on it, with Dak Faden on it. Yep, some secret lairs made it into here, which makes the whole thing even more confusing. I'm going to unpack what I think and what people have been saying about it in a moment, but this really threw a spanner in the works for me. I just assume this is all discarded product from big box stores, Target, Walmart, Amazon, or something like that. Maybe it was from a distributor going to those sellers and the product was damaged. Like, I don't know, a weasel got into one of the boxes and shit itself and died. So like the stuff just stank and was refused and got thrown to landfill. Maybe it got water damage. Maybe a bear pissed on it. Who knows? There's so many things that can go wrong with product during the supply chain that ends up with this stuff being in landfill. And that's still tragic. And I'll talk more about that in this video too. But this being a secret lair is super interesting because these don't tend to go to big box stores or Amazon or large retailers that might end up throwing this stuff in the trash. Because as we all know, smaller game stores and distributors that are in the loop may actually want to keep some of this stuff. Modern Horizons is still for sale now at a high price. So this is like discarding actual cash into the dump. But secret lairs, well, they're meant to be made to order. Some exist that are given out, you know, as promotional things to stores. There has been that in the past, here and there, but not normally with like this one, for example. And of course, people can trade them in, but again, that wouldn't go with the person who's discarding multiple boxes of Modern Horizons boosters into the dump is also not someone who's trading in an individual secret lair from a customer. But then there's some Strixhaven cards. Only one image in the Imgur, and we've got to bear in mind as well that sometimes these things can be, I'm not saying anything is staged, but things can be altered to create a narrative or perception. So there's one Strixhaven card, and then there's this, which is a discarded, damaged card back to a Magic 30 Anniversary Edition box, or card, should I say, that comes in those boxes. That's right, the $1,000 booster packs that came with 75 cards, right? 3 boosters that had reprints that could not be played in tournaments, they didn't have official Magic card backs. This is one of those. Now, the reason I bring up the whole staged narrative thing is that this image is independent of everything else. There's no Magic 30 seen elsewhere in these images. So this could be tacked on at the end to really incite and fuel and fan the flames of discontent. I'm not saying it's a lie or that it's staged. I'm just saying that I come in with a grain of salt when it's a single image separated from the rest of the dump. It's funny because in England we call landfills dumps. That's funny. But let's just assume it's true for a moment. This plus the secret lairs, which we saw. The secret lairs more interesting because we see them with the background, we see them in the dirt, and then we see them saved on a kitchen counter or whatever by the original user. Those seem more likely to not be staged anyway and be part of the whole dump scenario, the landfill scenario, sorry. not to use those terms interchangeably, but this one being separate does call it into question. But let's just say this is real and the secret layers are real. What does that mean? Well, I'm going to put this picture of some magic cards mashed into the tires of a landfill dump truck while I talk about this, because it's just... there's a poetry to this in a way. It's MTG gore, but it's also a commentary on our association and our relationships with cardboard, essentially. A luxury good made from the cheapest of materials. But if the Secret Lair and the Magic 30 pack are real, this suggests that this is not necessarily a retailer sending stuff back or a distributor not being able to fulfill an order and having to dump the stuff into a landfill. Reddit users have been doing a lot of detective work around this, and I've been reading their comments because, well, I've got a newborn baby, so I'm not going to do the journalism myself, am I? A few users have pointed out that this dump, once it's been discussed and figured out where it is around 350 miles away from the Texas printing facilities for Magic the Gathering. People might think that's very far away, but honestly, you don't dump stuff in your backyard. I use the word dump here. You don't drop discarded stuff in your backyard to have people come and dig through it. We saw this recently when we had discarded and damaged packaging for Games Workshop's Warhammer product line in the back of the Warhammer World warehouse over in England, where someone flew a drone overhead and got a nosy in at what had sold and what hadn't and what had been damaged, and so on. And people dive through the trash looking for discarded models all the time. So you may have a deal to discard the stuff further away, even if it costs you a bit more money, to help hide trade secrets. Especially those trade secrets are that you are discarding and destroying product. Let's talk about that for a moment. I'm not trying to grab a pitchfork here. I don't think anyone should be angry. No one should be angry at Wizards specifically about this. This is not our OMG Wizards are overprinting stuff scenario. This is that Wizards of the Coast are a massive corporation or company, part of a corporation like Hasbro, who just do the same shit that every other massive corporation within this huge late-stage capitalist machine that we live in does, where they destroy stuff and discard stuff that could still be used, give it away, or even just sold at a discount. Now, some of this stuff may have been sold in somewhere that we don't understand. How it could be covered in chemicals that will kill you if you hold it for too long. And like Magic cards out there now that are radioactive. That's the most extreme scenario, right? But the less extreme is that they were soiled by bear piss or a leaky water pipe, and that stuff just got thrown in the trash. There seems to be a lot of it though, so maybe a whole warehouse malfunction perhaps. Something that would have damaged the supply chain, perhaps. You've got to remember that Infinity was postponed in release and ended up releasing alongside the Warhammer decks, a product that isn't shown anywhere in these pictures, which suggests to me perhaps there was a logistical issue that we weren't aware of, or perhaps a warehouse fire or a warehouse flood, something that has not been said publicly because they didn't want it to hit the bottom line being the shareholder price. The other theory is that this stuff is an abundance of product, and in the world that we live in, sometimes companies will just destroy shit to keep their stuff valuable. Now, people are going to say, why not sell it off at a discount? But don't forget that will damage the brand. That will make Magic the Gathering look like a discount brand, and also in a world where they're being accused by literal banks and critics online and investors and people trying to buy out, wanting to buy stocks in the company to gain Wizards away from Hasbro, people are accusing them of overprinting. Can you imagine a scenario where if they are overprinting or have an abundance of product, it's stuck into a landfill and people find out? That will just fan the flames of that narrative. And that's what's happening here. People are joking, perhaps with a kernel of truth, that they are overprinting things, and this looks like they're overprinting things. In specific here, just the sheer quantity of Infinity. Again though, you have to remember we are seeing this through the lens of a few photographs and 2 videos from a user on Reddit and Imgur, which they may just be in the corner of the landfill where Unstable and Modern Horizons was. And if you were to walk half a mile to the east, you'd find a shit ton of Strixhaven. You've got to remember we're seeing this through a very specific window here. But back to that point about why don't they sell it at a discount? Well, it damages the brand. And it's a thing we see all the time in rampant consumerism. Designer companies like Louis Vuitton will destroy things that aren't sold by end of season. They don't want to have their brand and their designer product become a discount brand. That would be absolutely against what they strive to be. And Magic is the same. It's luxury. It's premium. That's why people will buy 4 cards at 20 or 40 bucks from Secret Lair. That's why the secondary market, which underpins the success of all this shit, is still successful. Because the cards are premium and they demand a price tag. Why would you buy into the FOMO of a Secret Lair that is printed demand in a certain window if you know further down the line a lot of these are going to show up in, let's say, discounted on the Wizards website, or even a more altruistic, less grabbing at money than them giving away to charity? If you get these in a charity auction later, why buy them for the higher price now? And beyond that, cards having a secondary market value is important to Wizards of the Coast, even if they claim to not acknowledge the secondary market as they sell us direct-to-consumer sales items of cards that are worth more than others, a Bitter Blossom being worth more than most other 4 cards in the Secret Lair, for example. Whilst they claim not to acknowledge the secondary market, it is fundamentally a huge part of the success of Magic, and the success of Magic as a brand and a product that Wizards can sell. Let's talk about Ragavan again. I hinted at it earlier, but it's really the one that I want to focus in on for this example. If Ragavan is $70, which it currently is, it means that a reprint of it is big news. That's called reprint equity, where you've got cards that are worth money that the consumer and the audience and the fan base want, and you can use that later on to sell more product to them. In this case, I'm talking about the Secret Lair prize Ragavans for the special events at Magic Cons, but also probably more apt for this discussion is the promo, like legendary version that's going to be in the old Masterwork frame that's coming in March the Machine Boosters. That is an incentive for people to buy, crack, and chase that high of opening a promo Ragavan. I say promo, it's more like a special art at the moment. All these words mingle into one when everything is special. Everything is special, nothing is. Except for the cards that are scarce. They're special because they cost a lot of fucking money. So if that's the case, do you really want to give out Modern Horizons at a lower price tag? Do you really want to decrease the price of a premium product? It does 2 things, again, to reiterate myself. 1, it means that you don't buy into a premium product further down the line. Why buy Masters? Why buy Horizons if you can get it cheaper in a year or 2 when they have too much product and can't sell it? And 2, why would you then want to buy a premium stable like Ragavan when you know its price will crash when the inevitable product hits the shelves at a discounted rate? It's just not worth them doing. Beyond that, there are examples within current business where it's just cheaper to throw things in the trash, burn them, or pour bleach on them than, say, restock it, relist it, give it away with the logistics of transferring that item to somebody on a large scale like this. You have issues of health and safety and liability. That's why food companies often will destroy the food instead of giving it away. There are so many reasons why they can't do the things that seem like the obvious thing on a smaller scale for someone like you and I. I'm not saying it's ethically or morally correct, I'm just pointing out how business works. Also, there's probably a tax write-off for lost product somewhere on the lines. The exact ins and outs of that, I don't really know. I'm not an expert on that, but there almost certainly is something like that they can lean back on. It may turn out this is not Wizards of the Coast doing this, because it may turn out it's one of the distributors in the US, one of the larger distributors, or maybe the printing company they hire, and Wizards aren't even aware this is happening. But the reason it's going to those landfills still are all the things I've just said. They're all ideas, concepts, policies, or just philosophies that surround a product like Magic, which is not unique in this. I've already mentioned like Louis Vuitton handbags and shit, but it's a philosophy that underpins the selling of premium collectible items to the public. And that's the thing I want to end on as well, is a philosophical point in a way, is that this is a dump full of shit that to us makes us grimace as Magic players. Premium product that we spend silly money on, sealed product in some cases, which is even more of a gut punch, right? Seeing draft uncommons torn up or damaged in the bin is something we've all seen as Magic players, but seeing rares floating around in the dust, seeing sealed product, Secret Lair promotional things, oh, that hurts, right? But this stuff, if you look at it as raw material, is just cardboard, or at least I say cardboard. Cardboard can be recycled. In the chasing the premium dream of being a genuinely good quality card stock when it's not foil, I'm going to add that in there, when it's not foil, it's good quality card stock, the stuff is not recyclable. So it's going into a fucking landfill just to be put into the ground and covered over with dirt. But ultimately, this is just some leftover stock. A waste of resources in a sense, almost certainly, but it's not really Magic cards until they're sold in a way, until observed by a market. This is just discarded shit that cost Wizards almost nothing. Virtually pennies. Perhaps, I say virtually pennies, it's going to cost them something to produce it, package it, market it, and then have to move some of that stuff to this location and get rid of it. Of course, there will be a cost, but not even close to what the cost of selling this stuff is because the profit margin is so high. We as a consumer, we grimace. We as players and collectors, we grimace. And in reality, this is just discarded resources from a conglomerate who doesn't really give too much of a shit about this. I think it's fascinating. I'm not really angry. I don't want to incite rage in you all. but I think it really makes me reflect a little bit on how wasteful the hobby itself is, where Wizards tried to go towards recyclable packaging. Do you remember Modern Horizons 2 with the little card packets that unfortunately damaged cards? They moved back away from that. Meanwhile, Flesh and Blood, a competitor that Magic pretends it isn't scared of because it's a much smaller game and will never be the size of Magic, but they're doing collectible cards in recyclable packaging. None of this is very good for the environment. It never has been and it still isn't. And this just fucking shines a light on that through the window of an Imgur image dump. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you think I'm barking up the wrong tree, or do you agree with the points that I'm making? And does it make you reflect a little bit on your relationship with Magic? I'm not trying to make you all hate Magic and move away from it. I love this game. It's the greatest game in the world, the greatest game ever made. But we can't just ignore when the company is just like landfilling huge amounts of product, but we can't also blame them specifically for the issue. This is a wider systemic issue within the system in which we live. It's not just a collectible card game issue. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you want to support me going forward, because I don't have paternity pay, I've got to make videos. Link to my Patreon down below, and also don't forget to sign up to Whatnot as well and help support the show that way by spending some money over there, getting £10 for free, and helping support me. I'll see you in the next one. Ta-ta for now.